welcome to a new video. Today I'm at Oiso Prince Hotel for the Autech Owners meeting. This is a really cool event that's actually been going on for 21 years. Similar to the Nismo Festival in that it's kind of celebrating, the Autech and Nismo side of the company, but it's mainly to do with the owners and owner cars. And there are a lot of cars here today, something around 700, and all really unique special edition versions, kind of like the Autech Varieta S15 that we have in front here. And basically I'm gonna spend the whole day walking through all the special row of cars that are lined up, and the event is just about to kick off, and I just heard that a very special police car is going to be making a parade here to open the event. So before that happens, I'm going to go down there and see if what I heard is actually true. And here you have it. I heard one of the GTRs that Autech built for the police was actually going to be doing a parade. I thought it was going to be the 34, but it's even more special. This is the four-door Autech 40th anniversary GTR based on the R33 platform. These cars were extremely rare, of course. We always see a lot of them at the Nismo Festival, but today they are in the Kanagawa police guys, and these guys are going to be doing a parade to kind of start off the event today. And they're actually going to be followed by a brand new car that's not even out yet. The Leaf hasn't even launched in Japan. This is even newer than that. This is the Leaf Autech, which will eventually be offered here on the JDM lineup of cars. And what an amazing way to start off this really cool event with the R33 Autech 40th anniversary four-door GTR police car. I think these guys are getting ready to leave now. And like I mentioned, there's something like 700 cars here today. So it is going to be a bit of a task to go through all of these crazy, unique cars. Of course, there's a lot of regular production car stuff like, the Serena, Autech, Highway Star, or the L Grands and stuff. But in the middle of it all is where the gems are. Here's again another Autech 40th anniversary GTR four-door. So I'm gonna get going and start looking through where I can find stuff like the March 12 SR. Kind of squeezing through here. The crazy opening ceremony. So many people. Just wanted to get another glimpse of the police Skyline GTR four-door. Hopefully they park it up so we can take a closer look at it. I thought we might actually see the R34 GTR, but of course they had to pull the really rare stuff out. Imagine being pulled over by this thing. Alright, so I came all the way back down to where I was before with the police car, because I'm going to try and do this in order. I'm going to walk up all these parked cars. Like I mentioned, something like 700 cars here today. And to start it all off, let's do it with this Autech version S15. Of course, this is the NA version of the Silvia, sitting on some nice Yokohama AVS 5s. Let's go around to the bright bit so you can actually see them. Sick looking car. And again, I think today is literally going to be trying to spot stuff that really stands out, because while Nismo is well known and famous, you never really know what you're going to find when it comes to kind of Autech's history. And one thing I should mention is, of course, Autech and Nismo are pretty much the same company in that Autech engineers and builds all the Nismo production cars that they do today. And of course, any limited edition model, any out of regular production version, of course, the Highway Star and the Riders have always been the kind of more recognizable cars. And then of course we have the really rare stuff. This beautiful Autech version 40th anniversary R33 GTR four-door BBS LMs, big Brembo brakes. We're going to be seeing a lot of regular production Autech version cars, but this is the kind of stuff I'm going to be really stopping to have a nice close look at. Sick two-tone S13, completely stock. This is based on the K's version. Look Look at these beautiful wheels. Running Pirelli Cinturato, soft top, foldable. Actually, it might have been redone. It looks like a slightly more modern fabric maybe. And of course, the special badges pointing out that it was Autech that actually engineered this car to become a convertible. And the whole Silvia convertible continues on to the Varietta. There's actually a bunch of cars. I just want to kind of touch on the fact that, you know, all these Nismo modern production versions of Nissan, like the Note here, are engineered and built by Autech. And the Note Nismo S is the last manual car that Nissan offered as a Nismo model. There's two of them here. And of course, we also had the March Nismo, which you know, looks like a entry-level city car, but when it's built to these kind of specifications with the Nismo package, it's actually a really fun car to throw around corners. You don't need to worry about speed. You're never going to be traveling really fast, but the cool thing is you can just plow into corners, don't use the brakes, and just rail it around, because they really do handle exceptionally well. This, however, the March 12 SR, this particular generation of the March, was one of the very first press cars that I ever borrowed from Nissan. So we're talking about 20 years ago when this came out. It must have been like 2004 or 5. And this has a high revving 1.2 liter NA motor with a manual transmission. This thing, I remember ripping through some really nice toga courses up in the Hitachi area of Ibaraki back in the day, and one of those cars that really made an impression on me. I mean, I never really thought that, you know, these little hatchbacks could be so much fun. And a lot of people always, you know, go for the more powerful stuff, but, you know, never underestimate sick little well-engineered lightweight hatchbacks. All right, I guess I'm here also to learn. Little did I know that the Nissan Caravan, I guess you could call it the Nissan version of the Toyota Hiace, its competitor van, kind of used mainly for commercial applications, is also available in an Autech package, the Rider. That I didn't know, as well as a Nismo. I'm not even sure if somebody made this or it's actually a model that's been, you know, offered and on sale. Definitely has all the right badging and definitely the right color. It's painted in that flat gray. There's a lot of the current generation Nismo cars. If it isn't real, the guy's definitely done a good job of making it look like a proper model. This is what the Nismo gray, of course, looks like on this Aura Nismo. But of course, along with the R33 40th anniversary 4-door edition GTR, Autech also engineered the 34 version of the Stagea in the 260 RS version with the RB26 and four-wheel driveline from the R33. This car is actually sitting on some equips. Very period correct, very blocky design. These cars are really something unique from back in the day, and actually appreciating quite steadily, as a lot of people realize that the GTRs are just kind of not too affordable these days anymore. So this is probably the last RB26 powered chassis you can get into for a decent amount of money. Next to that is a very old school Nissan Elgrand, and the reason I'm taking a look at this is because I didn't know that Autech actually made the Rider version all the way back to this generation of Elgrand. So we're talking late 90s here with this particular one, but really cool seeing and learning about these limited edition cars. This actually came with a polished 3-spoke wheel, kind of starting that revolution with the whole vanning culture here in Japan. And I may have chatted about this before, but the whole van thing in Japan started back in the day when people really got into the Chevy Astro. This, I think, has to be a record. Okay, let's not look at the Z33 and R35 quite now, but I'm talking about the amount of S15 Autech Variettas here. I don't think I've ever seen so many in one place, right down to a completely stock version, sitting on the stock rims, stock ride height. It's so cool. And of course, this is again a hardtop version of that initial S13 convertible that Autech made. So they kind of progressed the re-engineering of the car and got it to look very special with that unique hardtop. Hopefully we'll find one that's got a closed roof so we can take a closer look. But here's another S13 with a top down, and the last S chassis convertible right next to it. Of course, these cars actually look so sick when they get lowered, modified, and sitting on aftermarket rims. Even better when you see them drifting. There's a few here with carbon hoods, and even Nismo wheels. And of course the R35 Nismo. Like I mentioned, you know, Autech does all the R&D and engineering and development of Nismo cars, and that includes the R35 as well. So, you know, just keep that in mind. The really kind of out there otakus here in Japan really know that this car is an Autech creation. And that goes right across into some older models, like this limited edition Z33, which of course was running that GT 500 inspired rear bumper treatment, right down to a stroked 3.7 liter version of the VQ. So you know, the engineering is not only a body kit when it comes to sports cars that Autech creates. And this is actually the very last remaining sports car on the Nissan lineup, the new gen Z34 400Z. This is the Nismo version. The cool thing about this car is that it actually, there's a lot of kind of negativity around this car when it was launched only as an automatic, but of course the manual is coming. That has made enthusiasts you know, extra excited because they can have this very limited spec and look with a Nismo body kit on a manual car. And of course it does have a little bit more power than the stock car. All right, I just spotted another very, very rare gem. This is actually a 20th anniversary edition S-Tune GT version of the Z33 Fairlady Z. This was done back in the day to celebrate Nismo's 20 years in operation. It's basically slightly modified engine with the S-Tune package, so kicking out about 300 horsepower. But it had a fully redesigned front to rear bumper. You can see how much it kind of protrudes. Again, we have a inspiration from the GT cars with that kind of like flared out lower section. We have a wing, side skirts, kind of like fake side intakes here. A slightly elongated front bumper with functional intakes in that they are openings that allow air through, but maybe it was down to the owners to figure out what to route that air towards, the brakes or oil coolers. But I can't remember the last time I saw this model, maybe at Nismo. You can see the Nismo seats in there, and that sits right next to another very cool rarity, the Autech S15 fitted with that optional rear wing. Now, I don't remember if this was actually offered by Nissan or Autech or even Nismo, but my God, look at that. That's proper 90s, end of 90s look. Even sitting on some really old school 5-spoke OZ rims. And right next to it, another Autech version of the S15, this time on some sick old school Nismo GT1s. This is a more simple take on it. And we end the whole lineup with this limited edition Z, which I forget, but it was kind of like a celebration or a anniversary edition meant to kind of remind people of the 240 ZG long nose, hence the kind of dark brown body color. All right, I had to escape the PA again, so I'm at the far corner, back where the R33 four-door police car is, and they got the bonnet up so we can take a look at the engine. Looks pretty stock. I don't think any additional parts have been added, but you never know what they did with the boost on these things. But it sounds like this car is still being used, not for patrol, but more for events like these. But it's not often that you get to enjoy seeing these cars, because usually it would have been a pretty bad day if you had the chance to check out these cars from the inside. So all the seats are actually wrapped in vinyl, front and back. We got the addition of the police light on the roof, the wind deflector on the hood. Of course, this is to direct air and create kind of like a vortex to kind of go over the roof-mounted lights. And then pretty simple out the back, no addition, just the Kanagawa Keisatsu marking on the trunk and sides. This is so cool. Let's take a look from the driver's side. Completely stock. A few slight additions here in the center, and all the equipment needed. And the only thing I see added is that kind of relocation for the center gauges, because of course they had to add the CB radio and other stuff in there. But this car has actually got 136,200 kilometers, so not as crazy as you would imagine, but definitely had a interesting life, I guess. And up front we have the halogen driving lights, or maybe police lights, added to the front. The cool thing is, this is the actual guy that used to run it back in the day, so definitely one of the luckier policemen here in Japan. And actually, it looks like Autech even invited some tuning brands and outfits to bring some demo cars and parts to display. We got HKS here. They brought out their Z34, one of their development cars, sitting on Advan GT forged 5-spoke wheels, running Niova AD09s. The R35 GT 500 car, of course, decommissioned now, because of course it's all the Z34s now in the motorsport world here in Japan. But always good to see this crazy looking machine out in the open. They have a bare Z34 chassis here, which is basically the GT4 version of the car, and they kind of give you an idea of the amount of work that goes into the chassis here for preparation for racing. You can see the GT4 roll cage here, all sanctioned and regulated by the homologation that gets these cars certified for racing. Starting off from the body in white and right down to the stiffening where the pedal box gets mounted. And we're going to start off with something really, really rare. The Autech version of the Primera. Now, I think they only made something like 20 cars. So there's 4 here, which is mind-blowing. And these things are just, I don't know, like there's something so 90s about these cars. Of course, the Primeras did really well in Europe in the BTCC championship. So these are front-wheel drive, 2-liter manual cars. And there's some really clean examples here. You see the Autech badge there. The spoiler with the kind of integrated gurney flap here to add a little bit more downforce. And I'm not sure if all were finished in black, but everyone here is a black car. the middle cars here are running the stock polished 5-spoke wheels. Right, next up we have another awesome lineup of super rare cars. This is the R31 Autech version. Only 200 of these cars were ever made. They feature a slightly modified version of the RB20 DET with a slightly bigger turbo. Of course, they came only in this kind of champagne silver color, and they had the more modern projector type headlights that the later generation R31s came with. And my god, they're so cool. I just love the 80s boxy designs on the R31. You can see here the sticker it came with, GTS Autech version. These things are massive actually. Some of these are slightly more modified than, you know, when they came from the factory, aftermarket exhausts and bits and pieces. And actually one little, I don't know if you could call it an Easter egg, but the SNS logo here on the grille refers to Shinichiro Sakurai, the father of the Prince Skyline. A little nod to the man that really did kick off the Skyline generation of cars. So really cool to be seeing that. And further down there's another really special Autech car which has the same SNS logo on the bumper. We'll get to it in a second. First of all, we have a nice lineup of R33 four-doors to get through. Again, we've seen a few so far, but now it gets really, really interesting because a lot of these guys have modified the hell out of their cars. This is actually running a complete Nismo engine. I love the little Rainick sticker there on the cam cover. You see GT plenum there, hard piping, really pushing out serious power. Definitely 500 and over. I love the GT4 Nismos. It's sitting a little high, but I would consider it, you know, a usable, drivable type of ride height. Very clean car, beautiful. Let's look at the one next to it. All right, slightly more simple for the white one here next to it. This is running an all stock setup. Also just as good as any modified setup. I just love, you know, people that are able to not even touch these engines, which is very, very difficult. This one here, of course, has gone the complete other way. Another full built S Nismo engine. This is actually an S2. It's got the carbon piping, the Nismo carbon intake there from a Mori factory. Strut tower bar. Again, another car on the LM GT4s. Very, very clean. Attention to detail. God, they're so cool, these cars. They even have a little door handle protection from Nismo. Really has gone through the entire Nismo catalog here. Let's keep moving. We have a few more here. This is actually running a Nur engine swap. You can tell that, of course, by the cam covers in that Millennium Jade finish. The massive Mori factory titanium strut brace. And finally we have this one, again another stock car, this time sitting on R34 stock wheels, repainted and brushed in light silver. And I remember seeing this kind of finish on an R34 wheel, so we might have seen this car at Ars meeting. I forget, maybe you guys probably remember better. Let me know in the comments if I have gone through this car. The white one next to it is actually running BBS RIDs and R35 brakes front and back. I do like the black mirrors, gives it a bit of an N1 feel. And it looks like most of the work has been done at Auto Gallery Yokohama. These are the gearbox specialists, but also the creators of some of the most performing time attack cars. Right, so I'm still pacing, trying to see what is worth a nice little highlight. And we got a couple of S chassis here, another Autech version S15, but this S14 is what really brought me over because it's actually wearing a really cool rear spoiler. And I'm not really sure if this was part of the Autech package, but it does look very, very 90s. This is so mid-90s it hurts. I love the rear bumper selection as well. It definitely has the original Autech version, K's MFT. And we have a few more Nismo R35. We have a slightly older version, and of course from 2019 onwards they started featuring the carbon fiber venting on the fenders. We got the exposed carbon hood, and you know, it's a pity that the R35 is no longer in production, and at the same time it's almost amazing that up until the very end of its life it was still, you know, on par with some of the most expensive and performing supercars in the world. So, you know, a testament to Nissan, and in the Nismo's case, Autech's engineering of creating a car that was almost in production for 20 years. Absolutely crazy. And of course, you know, it's so tunable that it continues to live and prosper in the aftermarket. Right, speaking of aftermarket, we have another really cool, you know, amazing base for tuning, and there's a few of them here. The Autech 260 RS. So like I mentioned before when we saw the other one, this is actually based on the R33 chassis. So the platform is the same. You can see how the suspension turrets are very reminiscent of an R33, well, identical really. This one has been slightly fettled with. We got a Grady piping kit. We got some IP ignition project coils to, you know, get rid of those misfire issues that the RB always suffers up in the rev range and when stuff gets a bit hot. And I just love seeing what people do with these cars. You know, they're quite rare. You don't really see too many of them around, and it's really nice to see the choices that people make. This one's actually running on the early 2000s bronze version of the GT4s. A few color coordination touches on the interior. I do love this darker silver for these cars. I feel it really makes it look even more modern, and kind of stood up to the test of time really well, this car. It's a pity Nissan doesn't really do station wagons anymore. I mean, of course, after the 34 here, the 35, the M35 Stagea kept going for a few more years. And there's actually a few of them here because, of course, Autech did engineer, I forget what it was called, the 350 Axis, something like that, which had the VQ 35 DE. A few more 260s here. So we've got a roof rack. This has the Nismo racing lines here, the stripes on the side of the body. R35 brakes on this one too. This actually runs the LMGT4s with a center lock cover. Perfect. So this is exactly what I wanted to show you guys. The M35 version of the Stagea. This is the Autech version, which was called the 350S, and it was powered by the NA version of the VQ, the bigger capacity 3.5 liter version that was actually used in the Z33. So that's where they pulled it from. And yes, I got it right. It was indeed called the Axis 350S. This one's actually been slammed. What actually made these M35s stand out from the regular versions that Nissan produced is that they came with this molded on type of over fender finish, both front and back, which means they were actually really popular for people that wanted to stance and slam their stages. Another cool aspect about these 35s is that they came in the regular Nissan trim with the turbo version of the VQ 25 DET, which was probably the better engine for this car, honestly, because it was a torque monster, single turbo, had like insane amounts of mid-range torque, but it was never engineered by Autech. It was just regular production version. And speaking of Autech, yes, we do have a lot more 260 RSs here. Again, I just love seeing what people do with these cars. And there's even another M35, slightly less slammed, but it's sitting on the limited edition Z33 wheels that came out. I forget now, but I think these were actually the original 350Z wheels when the car was first produced in the early 2000s, I think 2001 or 2. Another Autech 4-door GTR. Got another 400R here, Nismo version. And then we get to what I believe is only 1 or 2 of these cars here today. And like I was saying before, it has the S&S logo on the bumper. This is the Autech version of the R32 4-door. And what made this car special is that it was powered by the NA version of the RB26, so the RB26DE. And this has been left in its beautiful original state with those light silver GTR inspired wheels. So what actually makes this car especially important to talk about is that, you know, guys like Rocky Auto down in close to Nagoya in Okazaki basically bought so many of these cars about 20 years ago because nobody cared about these cars. They were extremely cheap, sort of abundant. I mean, he obviously went to look for them because these were the cars that allowed Rocky Auto to do so many NA RB26 swaps. And I think last time I went to his shop, he must have had 30 or 40 of these outside, either ready to be used with engines, but most of them were actually left to rot because they had been, you know, robbed of their power plant and just basically become nothing more than a rotting chassis in a field. But it's great to see that people are still looking after some of these cars. This is a very special model in the Skyline, you know, generation of things. And, you know, one of the very, very few that came from factory with an NA version of the RB. And no, it wasn't powerful. It had 220 horsepower, virtually no torque. You know, it's not really an engine built, designed to perform its best in NA format. So it was just cool because it was different. And of course it came with this really unique green color, which made it even more, I guess, stand out a little bit more from the rest. But this event has really become quite the nerd out. Well, what we have here is possibly the rarest car here, maybe. I think less than 100 of these Y31 Gloria-based Royal limousines were ever made. You can see the addition of the stretch that's been added into the wheelbase here, a good 50 centimeter or so, and even has the limousine boomerang on the trunk here. But again, one of those cars that was kind of out of the bubble. The need for CEOs to have a little bit more leg room. You know, whatever the Toyota Sentry or the Nissan President at the time wasn't able to offer, this Royal limousine version of the Gloria offered. Oh, いいですか? Yes, I know. Oh man, I get to sit in the taxi. すごい広いね. Oh, there you go. I get to sit in it. This is sick. Oh man, look at the leg room in this thing. すごいですねこれ. Oh man, I could stay in here. All right, take me home. Oh man, it's so plush and soft in here compared to all the modern taxis that we have in Japan now. All right, so I actually get to sit in the Gloria Royal limousine too. This is going to be even longer. So this is even longer than the stretched long body. Oh my god, look at the size of this thing. Literally like a bed. You can stretch out your entire legs. This is crazy. Wow, this is sick. It's kind of like falling apart here, but oh man. Can you imagine riding in the back of this in like the early 90s? With all the lace, all the optional lace. Look at the door trim. Plush as hell. Absolutely crazy. And look at this, we have another Autech R32 right behind the two Y31s. This has actually got color matched wheels, again with the S&S logo. a nod to the father of the Skyline, Shinichiro Sakurai. And look at this beautiful 40th anniversary in midnight purple. God, that is sick. I think we saw this at R's meeting. I remember the color matched LMs. That is a beautiful car. All right, so here is the Autech lineup, starting with the new Leaf Autech, which I think pretty much just launched today. I don't think anybody's ever seen that before. We have the Autech Serena, of course, which we've seen a lot of. The Autech X-Trail. This is actually something really cool. This is the Rock Creek version of the X-Trail. And again, this is a car that, of course, Autech designs and develops. So anything outside of the regular production is, the stuff that Autech takes care of, right down to the Nismo versions of every Nissan model currently available in the market. There's also, of course, a bunch more like the Aria that aren't shown here. We did see the 400R, and the big news today, of course, is that Nissan brought out the Nismo Patrol. This is already launched in the Middle East market, of course, the performance version of the massive, gigantic Patrol. And this thing is really, really cool inside. You can see how the trim goes right across into the interior with all the red, kind of like soft suede centers. You got the Nismo logos on the headrest and the highlights, and the red trim continues all around the rest of the dashboard, including the Nismo logo on the massive widescreen dash display that really does set off the interior so well. And of course, this is a 3-row SUV, so there's plenty of space both here and in the 3rd row. All right, we get to the Nismo Z and of course the Note Aura Nismo, the final 2 models in the Nismo range. All right, I think it's time to end the event here. I hope you enjoyed the coverage of this really unique gathering. I don't think anybody's ever covered it before, and it's these kind of events that really stand out to me because you're able to kind of nerd out on really special cars, really rare stuff, and kind of chat to owners, see why they've owned and modified cars for so many years, still hanging on to those kind of gems from history. With that said, make sure you hit that subscribe button. I can bring you much more content like this from Japan and other countries. Until the next video, make sure you check back soon for more.